Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and here we have Game 4 in a best of 5 series for the Intel Extreme Masters European Championship Finals, being played between WhiteRa, the Ukrainian Protoss player, he's the blue one up here on the top of Scrap Station, and the Swedish Terran player SjoW, the red one over here on the right side. He is sponsored by Dignitas Gaming, and he is currently leading this series. Don't listen if you haven't watched the other games. Go watch the other games. He's leading the series 2-1, and WhiteRa needs to claw his way back in, because if he loses this game, he will have to take second place. SjoW, on the other hand, if he loses, it will force a Game 5 and be even more tense for both players, playing in front of a live audience in Kiev, Ukraine, WhiteRa's home country, so a lot of WhiteRa fans in the crowd, most likely. SjoW a bit away from home, playing at one of his first few live events still. WhiteRa has the edge in terms of live competition. He's been around for so long. He is sometimes called the Grandpa Toss because how long he's been in the scene, and SjoW is still trying to make a name for himself in Europe. He's been winning a lot of online tournaments, smaller ones like Zotac Cups, Craft Cups, Go for SC2 Cups, things like that. He played in an MLG event a long time ago and actually did place top 12. WhiteRa was unable to do that same thing at MLG DC, so both of these guys very, very good players, have a lot of wins under their belt, but they both want to become the first ever European champion for the Intel Extreme Masters. It's a lifelong title that they can hold on to, not to mention the $7,500 prize money that they can use towards whatever they want, you know, a new computer, maybe something nice for the wife if you're WhiteRa, maybe a trip to Korea perhaps if you're WhiteRa. SjoW might also have plans for that, I'm not sure, but you know, only time will tell. So SjoW doing nothing surprising just yet, building everything where it should be built. WhiteRa doing pretty much the same thing. Sometimes it's hard for Terran or Protoss on these maps to do wall-offs just because this ramp is so incredibly wide. He is placing his buildings so that a single force field can actually stop a lot of units from running up into his base. SjoW, on the other hand, building this barracks here, he could actually put a bunch of bunkers or something, maybe even the second barracks over here to help wall off and create more of a funnel. WhiteRa should know that 4-gating on this map can be very powerful against a Terran opponent because of this very wide ramp. They cannot really keep the Zealots and Stalkers out very effectively. Second barracks is coming up, but it's sort of in the back here, not at the wall-off position, so SjoW doesn't seem to be too limited by that, or too concerned about it. A third barracks coming up very quickly, so no factory this time, no quick expand either, I'm sure. He looks like he is just going super aggressive mode. He wants to seal the deal on this tournament. WhiteRa, on the other hand, does have his first gateway up, and he is already sending a probe around to SjoW's base. Is he going to build a sneaky pylon? It looks like he is, as he does not go up a ramp into the base. He just goes up into this more or less hidden area up on this ramp. If he builds a pylon right here or right here, he will be able to warp in very close to SjoW's main. He's got a Zealot already ready at the Zelnaga Tower watching for scouting SCVs. He's already rallying units out of his single gateway and getting a second one up now. He's not chrono boosting this warp gate tech just yet. He is chrono boosting just a bunch of probes right now, already working off of 2 gas. SjoW showing some aggression as well. He's already got a Marauder and 2 Marines versus a Stalker and a Zealot here. We'll see who is able to take out who in this very early engagement. Concussive shells already completed though. SjoW just a big fan of the concussive shells, but that Marauder does go down quite quickly, and WhiteRa's units aren't even injured. The shield is just a little bit damaged, and those obviously regenerate quite quickly. Second gateway is completed. Gateways number 3 and 4 coming up right now, so WhiteRa is going to be doing a 4-gate strategy against a 3 racks. Normally there's an expand associated with this build, but doesn't look like one is coming. He knows that WhiteRa is doing something aggressive. He has not had units that early in those previous maps, so SjoW is going to be doing his best to stay ahead on his supply depots. He just got blocked just for a second there, but he's got 3 racks up already. Is he getting stim pack? Yes, he is, and combat shield, so this infantry is going to be quite potent by the time WhiteRa arrives. He does have warp tech, warp gate research completed, and is starting to use that to his advantage here with this forward pylon. He also dropping another one by this destructible rocks here just outside SjoW's base, cutting that run distance even more. So now if SjoW is able to ward off WhiteRa's attacks at his ramp and comes and destroys this pylon, WhiteRa will still be very nearby with this pylon back here, so I like this progressive pylon dropping. We're going to watch the production tab just for a second and see nothing but warp ends, I feel like, from WhiteRa for the rest of the game. If he builds another probe, I will be pretty surprised. this. SjoW, on the other hand, trying to crank out infantry, get these research items done. Stimpack and Combat Shield need to finish as quick as possible. Factory coming up now, and WhiteRa has arrived. He's got a new pylon coming in now, so he can keep warping in units as he fights. He's got this vision up here from all these Zealots, Sentries, and Stalkers. Looks like SjoW has a decent enough force to be able to fight this off, though. Both players sticking around 50 supply. Lots of SCVs being pulled. WhiteRa may have attacked slightly too early, as SCVs can easily change the tide of this battle just by tanking damage and surrounding these Zealots and Stalkers, keeping them from being able to run away. 4 more Zealots being warped in for WhiteRa, but that's basically throwing it away, as concussive shells and stim will allow SjoW to endlessly kite these Zealots around his base. Almost a complete waste of 400 minerals, and now this pylon is forfeit. SjoW has a ton of army still here. Even though he did lose a bunch of SCVs, he's down to 18 harvesters, but with this size of force, if he can get through those rocks quickly enough, he might be able to do some serious damage to WhiteRa. WhiteRa, on the other hand, let's look at the army tab. Not that one, units tab, sorry. 2 Stalkers, 2 Sentries, 30 probes against 3 Marauders and 12 Marines. This firepower greatly outweighs WhiteRa's firepower right now, not to mention that all these units are reinforcing constantly. He's spending money totally on infantry. He has a factory up, but he's not building any Hellions because these guys are packed with so many upgrades. Hellions would not be as efficient as either Marines or Marauders coming out of those barracks. He's going to already break through the first set of destructible rocks, working on the second one. WhiteRa still has a pylon back here for warpins if he was going to try and be sneaky. Now might be the time to do it while his army is sort of tied up, battling these sedentary rocks, but more Marines showing up all the time. WhiteRa gets a glimpse of it with his probe. He knows what is coming. Check out that unit count, still only 4 Zealots, 2 Stalkers, and 2 Sentries against an ever-growing force here from SjoW. 55 supply against 50, but most of SjoW's supply is tied up in army, whereas WhiteRa's supply is tied up in workers. He's got 7 more workers right now. All the SCVs being pulled for SjoW. This is going to be an all-in attack to try and win this tournament. WhiteRa is going to need some great force fields, some really good Stalker placement. Force fields are decent, but still allow the Marines and the Marauders to keep firing at these Zealots. Zealots obviously want to move to the back, and their WhiteRa does take care of that, but he does not have a ton of Stalkers to plow through all these SCVs. Another good force field there keeps the Marines and the Marauders out. They are going to whittle down the Cybernetics core and eventually get through. 2 more Sentries being warped in for some more force fields. He's going to need to cut off that army right now. He's a little too slow. Lots and lots of Marauders and Marines still standing. All the probes being pulled from WhiteRa. More Marines showing up now. This is going to be the last Marauder showing up for a while for SjoW. So if he is not able to take care of business against this remaining Immortal and 2 Stalkers, WhiteRa could be in serious trouble. That Mortal is going to be focused down very quickly by the remaining Marines and Marauders. SjoW left with an army. WhiteRa not really left with anything. He's at 9 supply against 28 supply. SjoW already rebuilding back at home. And WhiteRa says, "Good game, good job." SjoW jumps up and out of his seat and yells to the crowd, I did it, I'm the champion." Okay, maybe he didn't yell that. He probably yelled something in Swedish or just went, "Yeah," and did like a fist pump and then ran a victory lap around the arena. But congratulations to Dignitas SjoW for taking the first ever Intel Extreme Masters European Championship. WhiteRa put up a pretty good fight. He seemed to be a bit overpowered in the first 2 games. The third game he actually showed a really good reason why he is a great Protoss player and actually took that game off of SjoW. SjoW was a little bit slow on the medevacs that time around, a little bit less harassment in that Game 3 on Zelnaga Caverns, but Game 4 we saw very, very aggressive tactics from both players, and SjoW just happened to hit the right timing where he knew WhiteRa was weak after that big attack, losing all those pylons, losing all those units, and SjoW still had a quite sizable force left over, so he just took his Tech Lab upgraded infantry and marched right up his friggin' ramp, destroyed a Cybernetics core, and killed off all his probes, and that was all she wrote. So thank you guys for watching that, and I'll have some more games cast for you here in the very, very near future. Thank you.